What's up, Math 1 students? I hope you had a great break. We're bringing it back. We're jumping back into Unit 4, or Module 4. We're gonna talk about inequalities now. Rather than just equations, we are going to jump to inequalities. We are going to jump to the second page of this task, so right here. And I think some of you guys might recognize some of this stuff that we're going to talk about here. So let's get started. So in terms of our inequality symbols, if you don't know right now, hopefully when we start drawing these, they're gonna come right back to you. Okay, so we have something like this. All right, and we know that that means is greater than. Okay, so if we said something like, for an example, my bad, if we said something like x is greater than 2, all right, we know that some value, whatever value x has, must be greater than 2. All right, now what we'll do here is when we ask you guys to kind of look at a number line, what we're looking for is for you to put a few numbers that we know on the number line that are around that known value of 2. And then what we need to do here is take care of two things, okay? On a number line, we need to not only mark the value properly, but then we also need to shade the correct way, okay? So the idea here is because we are greater than, we are going to use an open circle, all right? An open circle. And I'm going to use an open circle because it can't actually be 2, right? I'm going to leave an open circle here because it can't actually be 2. Now the other part is that we want to be greater than 2. So we are going to shade where? To the left or to the right? Less than 1? No. We must go to the right for values that are greater than 2. I think I just said 1. I'm sorry about that. No, we want to shade where we're greater than 2. So we're going to shade to the right. Now, as we change, and now maybe we look at something like that, well, hopefully we remember this is just kind of the opposite. Now we're talking about is less than. All right? So if we want to say again for an example that x is less than 2, what would we do on our number line? Well, we would still start with some numbers that are right around our known value. We would want to put a circle at our value of 2, and we would leave it open again, right? This would need to be an open circle. Because again, we can't actually be 2. Now here, if we want to be less than, this, I hope you guys understand, will be to the left. And so I will shade to the left of 2. All right, moving right along, let's take a look at something like this one. All right, if we see something like that, well, now we have is greater, right? Because we still have that kind of that carrot looking, or the we call it, I even think about it like an alligator mouth. It's opening up to the left, right? So the value to the left is greater, but then here's the deal. Because of this, we are going to say is greater than or equal to, okay? And let me just highlight that. All right, so you understand where it's coming from, right? So now we know that symbol is greater than or equal to, so x is greater than or equal to 2. Same idea, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put our circle at 2. This time, because we can be equal to 2, I am going to use a closed circle. And when I say closed, I mean a filled-in circle. And again, because it's greater, I'm going to shade to the right. So something like that. All right. Last one, you guys may guess it. I'm going to be there. And now I have is less than for sure. But again, because of that little bar down at the bottom, it's also less than or equal to. All right? And so that is where the blue bar is telling us the or equal to. All right, so our example of x is less than or equal to 2. One more time. Boom, boom, boom. We put 3 or 4 or 5 known numbers around that known value. I'm going to put a circle right at the known value. And once again, because of the bar down at the bottom, and because it's or equal to, this is going to be a closed circle. I do get to fill it in. So I fill it in, and now because it's less than or equal to, I will shade where it's less than 2. Okay? So that's a little review. Let us take a look now at this next little section, okay? So for inequality notation, we always like when we're solving inequalities later on, we always want the x to be first, okay? So let's say, for example, the x isn't first. What if we say something like, let's say 3 is less than x, okay? Well, there's kind of a little rule, and some of you, and when you see answer keys, you might see something like this. So we want to let you know that what you can do is you can rearrange. You can kind of flip everything. All right? And so what I would do is I would place the x and the 3 on opposite sides. And then what I would need to do, let's change this color here. I would need to flip my inequality. So if you notice, the greater part, or like, you know how the inequality was kind of opening up to x before in the first step in this one? Well, it's still opening up to x in the second one. If that doesn't fully make sense, or you can't really buy into that, you can also think about a known idea. Let's say instead of using an x, we actually knew something like this, which is a true statement. 3 is less than 5. Well, what would we do if we needed to rearrange the numbers? What if we had to do 5 and then 3? Well, you would need to flip the symbol, flip the inequality sign, okay? And so that is an idea that we're going to use, that whenever you have an x, or we always want x to come first. So if you ever have an x on the right side, you can always flip it to the left side by completely flipping the inequality symbol. Okay? Okay, let's move on. When we want to graph inequalities, well, we kind of need to take care of a couple of things. First and foremost, you need to put a circle at the known value, okay? So I am going to place a circle at -2. Now, because my inequality symbol does not have a bar, there is no or equal to, I am going to leave it as an open circle at -2. Okay, it's not greater than or equal to, it's just greater than. So it can't be -2, which means I have to leave it open. Now I do know that it says x is greater than. So greater than -2 means I am going to shade to the right. And so I would shade something like that. All right. What about if we have something like number 2? Oh, shoot. The x is on the right side. What are we going to do? Well, let's flip the inequality, or kind of spin it around. So instead of writing 1 is greater than or equal to x, we're going to flip the x. We're going to completely switch the inequality symbol, and then we'll put our 1. So now we're going to graph the inequality x is less than or equal to 1. Well, one more time, I'm going to start by placing my circle right at the known value of 1. Okay, so start there. Then what do we notice? Ooh, we have a less than or equal to sign. So I must fill in. This is going to be a closed circle. All right, it's going to be a closed circle because of the or equal to, and because it's less than, I'm going to shade to the left. All right, and so I would do something like that. Okay. Not too bad so far, right? Hopefully it's a little bit of review for you guys, okay? So here is our next section where we need to write inequalities. The easiest part is the x, because we always want the x to be on the left side, and then the known value, all right? So I know that I'm going to have an x on the left side and an 8 on the right side, and I'm getting that just from looking at my number line, excuse me. Well, what do we have to notice? We notice that the circle is an open circle. And we notice that we're shaded to the left. All right, well, an open circle means there is no or equal to. Okay, so I know I'm only going to be either less than or greater than. And then shaded left means that I am picking which one? Oh, I'm going to pick the less than. All right, and so I would add that in between my x and my 8, and now I know that the number line tells me that x is less than 8. What about number 4? Well, once again, I'm going to start with my x, because I always want x on the left side, and then a -3, and I'm getting that right from my number line. So x blank -3. Well, what do we notice here? This time we have a closed circle, which means my options are either going to be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Now, because I am shaded to the right, shading to the right means what? Oh, that it can be greater than -3. And so one more time, I can pick my inequality symbol and add it to my inequality. And so my number line tells me that x must be greater than or equal to -3. Okay, let's keep moving. I think that this next part's not too bad, and then we have just a little bit of vocabulary work to end our video. All right, so let's see here. I am thinking of a number, okay? So here's the deal. When we want to write these inequalities, whenever we're talking about I'm thinking of a number, we're always going to treat that as an x, okay? That's easy. So now I know x. Oh, I also know that I'm comparing x or some number to the value 5. So all we have to take care of is the is greater than, all right? Well, if we're talking about greater than, that means that x must be greater than 5, all right? I hope that's making sense. Honestly, I think I can do this for all of them. I'm going to put x and 5, x and 5, x and 5, x and 5. And so all we need to really work at is figuring out and kind of remembering what our vocabulary means. Well, if we know that a number, x, is greater than or equal to 5, well, we're still going to use a greater than symbol, but we can also be equal to. So I put that bar underneath. What about number 3? If we can be less than or equal to. Okay, well, that means that our number, x, our unknown, must for sure, or I shouldn't say for sure, it has to be less than, or it can be equal to. And so I use the less than symbol as well as the bar underneath that represents or equal to. Okay, I'm thinking of a number that is fewer than 5. Ooh, fewer. Oh, I think I would kind of think of a different word. Instead of saying is fewer, I would kind of think I would translate that word fewer to less than 5, right? So now I know that I'm thinking of a number that is less than 5, and so I would want x to be less than 5. I would add my less than symbol. Okay, kind of the same with the next one. I'm not going to think about the word more. I'm going to think of greater. Okay, so if a number is greater than 5, well, then it must be, well, I just said it, greater than, and I must use my greater than inequality symbol. Okay? All right, now, I don't even want to call it the toughest part, but it is a little more difficult, okay? Sometimes we throw the word no in front of our words, or we have different phrases that mean all of these, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. And so we want to give you some strategies for ways that you can figure these out, if you can't just kind of think about them in your head, okay? And so what we would do is, and this is just one strategy, I'm going to make a list of my possible, the symbols that it can be, right? A number has to either be less than, greater than, or equal to another number, okay? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to say if it's no more than, okay, right? If this says no more than, well, then what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get rid of the more than. All right, I'm going to forget about that one. And then I'm going to combine my other two symbols together. So no more than is actually the same thing as less than or equal to. And again, that's just me kind of combining those together into one inequality symbol. Okay, well, I can do it again. If I have no less than, I still have my options of less than, greater than, or equal to. And one more time, I'm going to get rid of the one it's telling me. It's telling me it cannot be. It's no less than. So it is not less than, which means it must be, again, combine these together to make greater than or equal to. Okay? Okay. For me, I kind of use the same strategy, but there's no like nice no in front, right? There's no nice word no like we had in these first two. So when I talk about being at most, I again kind of use the same strategy where I use less than, greater than, or equal to, and I just do a little bit of thinking, okay? If I know, for example, it says I have at most 30 minutes before class starts, at most. Well, that means it can be 30, right? It can be, at most means it can be 30, okay? So it can be exactly 30. But if it's at most, that means it cannot be more than that, right? At most means that, like that value or less than, okay? And so I know that my two inequality symbols that I kind of have to put together, is less than or equal to for at most. All right, same idea for at least. Okay, it can be less than, greater than, or equal. At least, right? If I need at least 20 to go to the movies, well, then I can have exactly 20, or I can have more, or I might need more, I should say. And so I would want to combine greater than and equal together to make greater than or equal to. Okay, so to finish this off, let's do our strategy just one more time here of writing out these word sentences in inequality form. Again, I have x and 5 all the way down. Now, don't get in the habit of doing this, right? This is just because of the specific way we did our notes and because we really just want you to focus on the vocabulary, right? Is no less than. Is no less than. So you can either memorize this because we did it before, right? Is no less than, we have up above is really the same as greater than or equal to. But again, if you don't have it memorized, just do this each and every time. If it's not less than, or is no less than, I'm going to cross off the less than, and I am going to combine these two together. So x is greater than or equal to 5. Okay? If a number is at most 5, well, then it can be exactly 5, or it can be less than, okay? At most means that value or below. Sorry, I should have highlighted that. At most, that value or below. If a number is at least 5, well, then it's that number or greater than, right? And so I would say it can be exactly 5, or it could be greater than 5. And then I think for these last ones, we're going to use our strategy again. So I have less than, greater than, or equal to. If it's no more than, that means it is not greater than. So I would cross off greater than, and I would combine the remaining less than or equal to. So x is less than or equal to 5. And finally, I think, yep, we're all done after this one. If we are no more, if I'm thinking of a number that is no fewer than 5, then no fewer, that's kind of like less than, right? Yeah, so it's not less than. So I get rid of my less than, and I would combine. So x is greater than or equal to 5. All right, so that is 4.5 in a nutshell. Lots and lots of vocabulary and just getting really, really good with inequalities. See you guys in class.